Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. And from Home Story Cup 2019 November, it's going to be Stats versus Solar here on Acropolis, the latter edition. This is a bonus patron cast for those of you who support me on patreon.com/FalconPaladin for at least $1 a month. Let's go ahead and get right on into it here on Acropolis. It's going to be in the bottom right, the red Zerg player, Solar. And in the top left, it is the blue Protoss player, Stats. Oh, I love Stats. Stats has had such a great career in StarCraft 2. Solar, on the other hand, pretty good career, but not as storied as Stats has been. But StarCraft is all about upsets, you guys. It's all about players who maybe aren't necessarily at the super exact level as the players are coming up against, and lower, and coming out with a win anyway. Like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I have cast some upsets in the recent weeks on this channel. Games where I thought for sure one player was super favored over the other one, and the underdog just came through and outright won the game. Didn't just show well, didn't just give the better player a good game, won the game. So again, watch StarCraft, watch sports for that reason. I just love seeing underdogs win. So it's going to be a hatchcast pool here from Solar, and if the pattern holds correctly, then I think a third base is coming up a little bit earlier than you would expect. Unless you know what Solar does. Yep, there we go. There's the third drone. Well, third hatch drone. Man, he's going to throw it down at like sub 145 here. Are you ready for it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, he just didn't quite have the minerals yet. So like a 146er, man. 146 third. And just knowing that Stats isn't going to cannon rush you, Stats isn't going to proxy you. Stats is playing straight up. I mean, Solar's gambling a bit, as like a proxy Stargate could still be some problems for him. But see, you get this third base up early, but you don't have enough gas for speed and 2 queens like you do if you skip the third and make it a little bit later. So 1 queen at the natural base is going to help against Adept Harass, as we're going to see here. Adept coming in for the harassment and for the scout. And then you get your queen up here when you can, and speed when you need it. Now, speed isn't necessarily a huge thing to get in the early game against Protoss. It's really useful if you're trying to chase down Adepts and murder them. But otherwise, not a big deal. You can actually deal with them inside your own mineral line pretty effectively just with slow lings and a queen, which is what we have here. Of a queen at the natural base, again, queen at the main base coming in, and there's your speed starting now. So speed a little bit later, then maybe you'd want it if you're worried about Adept Harass, but if you have good control, as Solar does, this 1 queen and 4 lings. Looks like about 4 lings will be made. That will be enough to dissuade. Is that actually a Zergling? That's a Zergling. Oh, it's dragging the Adept back home a little bit. Cancel. Oh, let the Shade finish. Really wants to kill the Ling, but the Ling gets in for the scout. Is the Ling going to see the higher tech here? Is the Ling going to see the Stargate? The answer is yes. Scouting Zergling, heroic Zergling without speed, gets in, sees everything that Stats is doing, sees the Stargate opening. I don't know if he noticed that it was a Phoenix first play, but it doesn't really matter at this point. It is Stargate. He's going to be sure not to forget his spores. He's going to get maybe a couple extra queens here, and he's going to be just fine in the early game. I'm loving this. I am loving this out of Solar thus far. He dragged both the Adepts back home to try to deal with that. Maybe just the one. The other one wasn't out yet. I don't know. Anyway, speed is getting there, complete, but they're going to have to do this fight without it. We'll see. We'll see if the Adepts want to finish this Shade or not. If they do, they're in for a pretty decent engagement. Yeah, I don't know that 2 queens and 2 Zerglings is really enough to put the fear of Zerg into you. But for Stats, it was. He goes home, plays it safe, setting up for a third here at about 350. And again, third for Solar has been done for some time. So I like this. I like this from Solar. Could probably take a 4th at this stage. There's not much to kill him from Stats right now, because Stats has literally an Oracle, a Phoenix, and like a gateway. He's making a robotics facility and another gateway right now, so we'll see if that plays into it here. Not actually moving the Oracle out. Oh, here it is. The Oracle is, in fact, moving out after all. Ooh, bit of a lag. This is Borakul, a descendant from the legendary Oracle pilot Narakul, who eventually became the 7th hierarch of the Dalam. Expectations were high, however. This young Protoss possessed a discrushing lack of enthusiasm of being forced into the role, and his crushing boredom and lack of creativity shows in this call sign. We'll see if he can get a single kill. The answer is, actually, no. Holy smokes, no. Wow, Stats, my guy. What was that? He didn't get a single kill on that Oracle, and it died. Stats is not on top of his game right now, you guys. He got, I mean, that scout came in, ruined his day. His third base is a little bit late. His Oracle got 0 kills. This Phoenix might get an Overlord. Actually seems quite likely because the Overlord is very slow. And very stupidly do not actually head back to safety until some time. Transfuse? Ah, Transfuse saves it. That's really good use of energy there from Solar. You don't want to have to replace an Overlord. It sucks. So, teeny tiny army here from stats. We're looking at an Immortal, a Sentry, an Oracle, and a Zealot. Now, the trick here is that the Zerglings are actually going to have a problematic time here versus the Oracle. But my gosh, he just forced all of the probes away from the third and got 2 probe kills. Might get another one here, too. Good call, another one. 3 probes down. Solar's ahead, you guys. Solar's ahead in this game. He's going for Infestation Pit. He's getting Glio Reconstitution. He's not getting a 4th base, which he should have done a while ago if he wants to keep up in macro. He wants to kill stats now. So we'll see. We'll see if he can pull it off or not. Zerglings come back into the third, where there is an Oracle and an Adept waiting. So there aren't enough of them here. Previously, the attack succeeded because there was literally nothing here at the third base. Now stuff is at the third base, and the Zerglings can't get anything done. So Infestation Pit coming in. There's your 4th. Okay, so Solar is going for a 4th base a little bit later than I would expect. Hallucinated Phoenix come in and see. I think they saw the timing on that base. No, they didn't actually see the 4th. Surprisingly enough, did not see the 4th base. Maybe he thinks maybe he's expecting an attack. That's why he's not moving out. He's expecting about a 2.5, 3 base Roach Ravager attack out of Solar, but Solar's like, I got a 4th base. We're good. Don't worry about me. Oh, it's going to be Swarm Host. It's going to be Swarm Host, and it's going to be nydus. All right, that's what we're looking at here. I should have known. So this is Home Story, which was played on the current patch, which means that Swarm Hosts, well, Swarm Hosts aren't changed, but nydus are nerfed a bit, wherein their load and unload times are nerfed for the Zerg. And also, you can't just throw up nydus swarms willy-nilly. There's about a 14-second cooldown between starting one and it finishing, and then another one being able to get tossed down off of the same nydus network. So we'll see if that plays into it here. I gotta admit, I've seen a couple games of Swarm Host nydus on the current patch, and I'm not sure enough changed to really make Zerg, to hurt Zerg enough. Right, I mean, do you really want to nerf the strategy into the ground? I mean, yes. Protoss players would say absolutely yes. And it kind of reminds me of the 5-Rax Reaper strategy that Terran had back in Wings of Liberty that was impossible for Zerg to stop, and it just got nerfed into the ground. And we never saw it again. That's a lie. We see it sometimes. But it was like every ZVT for one tournament. It was all of that. But, yeah, I mean, at this stage, if your stats, you prioritize killing nydus worms. That's 2. I mean, you might feel good about this, but then you realize you have to do this about 18 more times because Solar's going to keep tossing these up, like another one right there, for example. So we'll see if stats can get to it. I don't think he can. It is far enough away, actually, where I don't know if the Swarm Hosts are going to get a lot done. If they have to unload here, and walking them away from the network or from the worm is really dangerous. Another one coming up here. That's a better place for them. I remember what I talked about. Walking them away here. Immortal down. Charge lots on top of these Lings. Hacking them to death. Here we go. Locust popping. And all they really got to do is just jump on top of this army and do what damage they can. That's all you got to do. There's a little bit of splash damage here that Archon's going to die. And the Locusts don't get a whole lot done, but they drain a lot of energy off of 3 of these shield batteries, and that's really all they have to do. The Roaches and Ravagers are fighting. There's only 1 Immortal remaining. Another Nydus Worm to retreat to. 3 separate Nydus Worms to retreat to here for our Zerg player, Solar. He's looking pretty much in control of this game. 4 bases to 3 bases. Looks like trying to expand on this left side his stats. Trying to make sure he sees if Nydus Worms come up near his main, which is really a huge concern. But, oh crap, the Nydus Worms! Oh, I was going to say, the Nyduses were a little bit stuck there for a second. Do this Void Ray with Prismatic Alignment? Go. Prismatically align. Burn these suckers down. Meanwhile, Roach Ravager getting on in. Nice force fields, trapping the Roaches and Ravagers in here. Storm is now done. I do love Storm versus this strategy. Void Ray ends up getting 0 kills. Did you really just weaken all of these Swarm Hosts? I guess maybe Stats was worried about the attack up at his 3rd, which is entirely fair. Ooh, hang on. This 4th base is in trouble, too. So the Zealots are dead. Pylon gonna die. I'm not sure if there's enough to force a cancel here. 2 Immortals are pretty terrifying against any number of Roaches, really. I like this Creep Tomb replacement, though. That is pretty incredible stuff. Another Tumor down here would be nice, because when this Worm dies, and this Worm is going to die, all this Creep is going to go away. Hang on. Not right now, though. Oh, my gosh. It's so scary out here. It's so scary out here. Get in the nydus. Go get in the nydus. I guess that one's fine too. Look, Locust jumping on into the natural base. What are they trying to focus down here exactly? Oh, they're going to cancel Blink. Oh no, Blink finished. Blink finished at just the last second there. Twilight Council got hacked down. Robotics Facility died too, but Blink is done. That's a big victory for Stats. He needs the mobility and the power that Blink gives these Stalkers. Get in the nydus. Get in the nydus. See that load time a little bit slower, but not really enough to do much there for Stats. And I can hear you, Protoss players. I can hear you complaining about this to this point. Fourth base, Zerglings getting that surround on the Nexus, trying to murder it. Crossbiles landing, actually catching a bit of a sentry there, but not killing it. And the fourth base is out. So Stats is on 3 bases at 10 minutes, which is not where he wants to be. Solar just on 4 bases, mostly gas here at his fourth for, again, more Swarm Hosts. Ooh, going for a Greater Spire. So, I mean, technically, so far, I would argue that Stats has held this pretty well. So Locust jump on a couple Stalkers here. Some stuff has died. He hasn't lost a base, and he hasn't lost a substantial number of probes of any kind. So, I mean, Stats has held this about as well as you're going to be able to hold it against an Elite Zerg player as Solar is. Resources lost, pretty even, which is nice considering Solar's been using free units a lot. Zerglings keep dying. Roaches and Ravagers keep dying. Another Nydus Swarm erupts, putting fear into Stats' heart. These guys ready to go. They're just about ready to go, and they are. And there's the launch, and there's the back inside the nydus. Void Ray, really just here to kill Locusts, and is okay at it. But I kind of like the Stalkers. Stalkers get free shots off on the Locusts as they're in the sky, and then they can blink away from the Locusts on the ground. They do take down the Templar Archives. Before they die, they do. Roaches and Ravagers getting into Stats' third base. He really can't afford to lose these probes right now. It's already 63 to 52 workers in favor of the Zerg player, and being down in economy to the Zerg is not good for you. 3 Roaches, though. That's good. All right, so all those Roaches die. Nydus Worms are kind of getting cleared out from Stats. He may actually be sort of surviving here, despite just now losing 11 probes. Which, again, is bad, but not unrecoverable. 189 to 144 supply. Solar has an advantage. He just keeps making more Roaches and Ravagers. He's making Broodlords. He's got 4 Corruptors in production. To make more Broodlords would be my guess. Locusts dropping down on this army, chasing them away. On creep, they're abjectly terrifying. They get that speed bonus. But at the end of the day, there's enough here to shut that down. So Stats is doing it. Stats is doing this, you guys. Protoss fans rejoice. Couple Stalkers in here versus the Roaches running into the third base. Fourth base coming up for Stats just outside of his natural. Solar's maxed out, but a lot of that is dead supply in Swarm Host. The Broodlords are going to be a better deal for him, as they are constantly producing free units rather than producing free units once every 41 seconds. Melee attack level 1 completing here. Resources lost, again, really even. 10,000 and 9,800. This is a good match. This is a good ZVP. Base down to the south from Solar coming up right now. Zergling's going to jump on into the fourth. Big Warped of Zealots say, no, you don't. How about you don't? Blink Stalkers coming on in. They get caught up by Broodlords, and they decide not to engage there. Forcing a cancel on Solar's 5th base, though, down to the south. Nicely done. And the 4th base for Stats is in a lot of trouble. His army is split up into 2 separate groups. He can't save the 4th. His 3rd might be in trouble as well. This is chaos right now. Ah, there's the recall. There's the recall. Here's the recall. Ah, the recall! Focus down the Nydus Swarm. Focus on the Nydus Swarm. Got it. Though the Swarm Hosts are in trouble. They are slow off creep. They are getting wrecked. Force fields helping immensely with that. Swarm Hosts trying to waddle their way home. They get onto the creep. Speed bonus. Go, 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 go. Broodlord trying to cover them, but recognizing the threat of kind of being alone here like that. See that Broodlord die to the Blink Stalkers when they are alone? They're not supported by Infestors or Roaches or Ravagers or anything. Broodlords are actually really vulnerable, which is why you never see a Zerg player just make Broodlords against Protoss, because they will die to things. Blink Stalkers do a really good job of it. I'm actually cast, well, I've already cast. It's coming later. There's an incredible Neeb versus Sue game from Nation Wars. Anyway, it's amazing. All right, Locust can find a target. I was going to say they can't find a target. Oh, look at the cloak. Look at the cloak saving that Immortal. This is pretty good stuff. Crossbiles landing. This Void Ray has had quite a day. Got 7 kills to his name, but he has done a ton of damage just to random Protoss things like Locusts and Swarmhost. Well, he's dead now. Queen's out as well. Army supply 122 to 96 for Solar, but again, a lot of that is tied up in these Swarmhosts, which are dead because they don't have Locusts ready to pop. Oh, free Archon there. Got to be careful there. Got to be careful with that. Fourth base did not die for Stats. Happily mining from that, and we're 4-basing it right now to 4-base, which does not benefit our Zerg player at all. More Broodlords in production. No Infestors at all, which I find incredibly questionable. And this Swarmhost play is actually, it has a bit of a timer on it. If you can't kill your opponent in the first 10 or 15 minutes, it gets exponentially harder to do so because you've invested so much into the Swarmhosts, and their effectiveness starts to kind of lose effectiveness from that point on. Stats is away from home, and there's going to be a nydus attack on his third base here. Army moving away, and not fifth base from Stats coming up to the north. This is looking pretty scary. Here at the third, there are a good number of probes here. This is a good source of income for Stats. It's not the only one he has, but it is a good source. Get on out. Get on out of there, probes. Not happening? Okay, you can't actually heal through the damage Locust output because their output is disgustingly good. Corruptors are going to fly in and try to caustic spray something based on where they are. I don't know what exactly. Okay, nothing, it turns out. 13 probes die, 58 to 46 worker count. Engagement up to the top. The mothership is actually hard for Solar to kill. Never mind, he's got Corruptors, but there are Stalkers. Mothership goes down. Forgot about the Corruptors. I didn't realize they were with this army. Yeah, the fifth base is in trouble. The third base is in trouble, but it's not dead yet. That's massive. Blink Stalkers blinking under the Broodlords. They're trying to kite back and leash back as well as they can. The Corruptors are here to deal with anything in the air. There's nothing here in the air for them to get. As it turns out, the fifth base goes down. 4 more probes die, and Stats is in full retreat mode. 200 to 120 supply right now. Stats, I don't know if he has enough to deal with the Broodlord, Roach Ravager, Locust army. Another Immortal goes down in the game. Third base or fourth base in a lot of trouble. Locust popping, Broodlords popping. Stalkers trying to finish off as many of these Broodlords as they can, but there are just too many. Solar with the bad manner calls out the easy. What? Solar and Stats returns with the good manner GG and taps out. Solar, I am ashamed of you as a representative of the Zerg race. Come on, man. You tossing down an easy like that in Home Story Cup? In fairness, he'd probably been drinking some. It seems Home Story is more about drunk StarCraft than anything else, but still, for shame, Solar. That was not very nice of you. Again, I think Solar was not favored in this matchup. Stats has a much better resume and is a much better overall in 2019 than Solar has, but at the end of the day, Solar wins. Maybe he was happy and pleased about that. So at the end of the day, 31,000 resources lost for Stats, 27,000 lost for Solar, 10 nydus swarms, 14 Broodlords died, which is a lot more than I expected to see dead there. But end of the day, there are enough. There are 4 to be, unopposed, basically. Mothership went down, 65 Stalkers, 6 Archons, 4 Immortals, 3 Nexuses. It's just too many. He didn't kill any hatcheries at all. Did force a cancel on a hatchery that one time down here. It was pretty good. That did slow down Solar some. But at the end of the day, it was an insane final battle, right? Solar has effectively this one mining base. He is mined out up here. He's mined out down here. He's mined out down here. This is the one base that he has. This is the one base that Stats has. If Stats could have held this, it would have been a much different game. But he just couldn't quite do it. The Stalker count was high, but there were Locusts, there were Broodlings, there were Ravagers, and Roaches there. The Roaches had +2 missile attack, which is fantastic. The Lings had +1 attack, which is really nice. And I guess that's the Broodlings too. Broodlings had the +1 attack, which is super good for them. And the Protoss units did have +2 attack themselves, so they were hitting pretty hard, especially the Archons. But 23 kills on this one Archon is pretty great. Again, fighting free units, those numbers tend to get a little bit inflated, but still not too shabby. And then 5 kills, 6 kills, 7 kills, 12 kills on these Swarm hosts, really paying for themselves today. 9. I mean, how many of their brethren died? 6? There were 7 on the ground, so not a bad day. Not a bad day for Swarm hosts at all. Yeah, I had some hopes there for Stats that he was going to hold on and pull back and get a win. But the Broodlords came out, and even without Infestor support, The Roaches and Ravagers and Corruptors and Swarm Hosts provided enough ample support for them to get done what they needed to get done, finish off this Nexus, and force stats to tap out. So really, really good ZVP. I'm not sure if we should give it an epic tag. To be honest with you, if you guys think it should have an epic tag, like, let me know in the comments. You guys are my patrons. I'll listen to you first, and then when we post this on the main channel, it can say epic as chosen by patrons. That'd be pretty cool, right? I think it'd be all right. Okay, well, I can't think of anything else to say here, so that's going to be it from me. So this has been Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.